And yeah, I had some inspiration for another ambiance for ASMR streams, and I wasn't quite sure I had all the assets to make it work properly, but I recently had some inspiration for how I could use some existing assets. There's also a little bit of the ambiance stuff that Shiro had suggested. It's a little bit of chattering and dishware clinking and some such. Oh no, fish. Oh no, cupcakes. Oh no, Komodo. I hope things look up for you soon. Without the painful part. I'm glad if you're well. You're here for cozy vibes. Even though you don't like ASMR. Thanks for coming to hang out, fish. Hey, Jack. Good to see you. And so, I don't really have anything in particular planned, but maybe we can find a way to wing it as we go. Or, if not, I do have this. I tried to set it up in a way that this would function well for like just a chatting screen. Your brain is most likely fried. I hope you can get some good rest. Oh, if it's just... Is that the response? I'd already read it before. On stream, I mean. So, I'm not 100% may you rest all, Parsec. I'm not 100% sure that this will be the best thing to do. I've read this quite a bit. But I really quite like this. I quite like this book. You should also go to bed. May you rest very well. You're becoming more of a fan of ASMR. Oh, but you only watch mine. Oh, I'm glad if you can enjoy my content. Actually, the other day, somebody else that they hadn't said anything in chat before. I think it was their first chat. Yeah, first time chatter. And they just told me that they really, really like my content. And you know, that kind of thing is like, it's like really encouraging. So yeah, that was very good to hear. Oh, there was also a last time chatter. Hey, no, good to see you. I hope you're doing very well. I don't really have anything planned for today. Another stream where Jack can't ban you. You've enjoyed my content specifically. I'm glad if you can enjoy it. I guess I have a little bit of Foley that would be appropriate to use. Oh, maybe I could go to my father tomorrow and ask if I can borrow like his like martini mixer. Hey, you're feeling kind today. That's good. I'm mere talisman coping. It was a good movie, right? Yeah. Too much King Arthur. How about a random food fact? I've got Gastro Obscura on me. That's quite a big book, so it's like a little bit unwieldy. Oh jeez. Okay, let's see what we can do here. The art of tableside frothing. Asturian cider pouring. There's an image of a person pouring from a bottle down into a cup, and the bottle is held above their head, but the cup is held below their waist. How to try it? In Asturias, you don't order a glass of cider. The drink comes by the bottle, which includes the tableside pouring and frothing service. A long-distance pour at a cideria in the Spanish town of Ribo de Sella, in Spain's northern region of Asturias. Cider pouring is more performance art than table service. At local cider bars, known as citrerias, servers pop the cork and hoist the open bottle high into the air. From this altitude, the elevated hand tips the bottle, while a lowered hand captures the cloudy liquid in a glass until it's roughly a quarter full. The servers aren't just capitalizing on opportunity for theatrics, they're enhancing the taste of the beverage. Asturian cider, made from fermenting 5 kinds of apples into a funky medley of barnyard flavors, contains approximately 6% alcohol and is almost entirely flat. The long-distance cascade into the glass creates a splash that supplies effervescence and foam, while also releasing cider's aromas. Because bartenders might spill a few drops in the process, perhaps due to their no-look pours. Some establishments litter the floor with sawdust to absorb the constant splashing and spills. Rather than sipping and savoring the tart drink, patrons shoot their small pour back in one swift go. The drinker then shakes any of the last dregs of cider onto the floor to freshen the cup for the next drinker, and the entire pouring ritual begins again. That's kind of interesting, I think. How about this one? In Eastern Europe, pickled bar cheese. How to try it. At Flecker, you can eat pickled hermelin at communal tables, while waiters roam for business, carrying big trays of house-made dark lager, which is the only beer served here. Knock the Donny Hermelin in the Czech Republic. Flecker, the oldest bar house in Prague, serves a quintessential Czech bar snack, a soft round cheese called hermelin, with a creamy white interior. Sliced in half long ways, the cheese is layered in a jar with spice and herb infused oil that typically includes onion, garlic, bay leaves, black peppercorn, and, for a spicy variety, red pepper. Left to marinate for about 10 days, the cheese picks up all the pungent flavors of the oil, which mingles with the mushroom notes of the cheese, growing increasingly powerful as the mixture ages. And the cheese retains its gooey texture, which is why a few slices of deep-fried brown Czech bread, called topinky, are always within reach. Despite its name, the cheese isn't actually pickled. It's marinated, but less ambiguous is the proper way to eat this herbaceous delicacy. The fork in one hand and a cold Czech beer in the other. How to enjoy a fluffy beer. How to try it. The traditional Pilsner pub, called Hamburg, in Prague is especially adept at transforming beer into beer fluff. Nico should cost half the price of a standard pour. Czechs invented Pilsner, and they drink the most beer per capita of any nation on earth. At the beer culture this pervasive, it's only natural that they create a philosophy around how to pour and enjoy their favorite drink. At a bar in Prague, beer drinkers not only choose their favorite brew, they also select their preferred pouring method. Lico, or milk beer, renders a whole beer white and foamy, resembling a tall glass of milk. It might be the most misunderstood style. Outside the Czech Republic, too much foamy head on a beer is considered an amateur brew. a watery nuisance that takes up valuable space in the glass. But the foam in liquor is a different substance entirely, made by opening the tap just slightly and finessing a thick, creamy lather into the milk. Liquor foam has a cloudy, velvety body and sweet taste. Nothing like the sensation of gulping air that comes from a poorly pulled draught. Because the foamy milk beer is less alcoholic than a regular pour, Lico makes a great nightcap, an easy lunchtime beer, or the beverage of choice, and in a rush because the foamy drink is easy to down quickly. Lico is the lightest of the check-pouring styles, with just a sliver of amber liquid at the bottom. The standard pour, called Ladinka, has 3 parts beer to 1 part foam. Another pour, called Sneet, contains about 2 parts beer, 3 parts foam, and a couple inches of empty glass. A style that comes to the rescue when drinkers need to start slowing down, but can't bear the embarrassment of ordering a small beer. Tiny house, wine storage. How to try it. Rupis is located in the southeast of the Czech Republic. Many of the cellars are available for visits and will offer tastings of the region's wine. Oh no, I booped my desk. Rupis wine cellars, Czech Republic. Rupis is a town of about 1,000 people, located in the winemaking districts of Berklav. A village stands like an island surrounded by a sea of vineyards, which produce some of the best wine in Eastern Europe. Our village is known for its picturesque wine cellars, and there's a photograph here of some cute, small house-looking buildings. They appear to be only a little over 2 meters tall. Hey Zork, good to see you. The most famous of these cellars, the straw cellars, were built in the 18th and 19th centuries, cut into the village's sandstone hillside and adorned with elegant Gothic arches. The cellars look like the tiny houses from a fairy tale. Inside, the long corridors are stocked with wine. Our interior walls are dusted with mold that, together with the stable temperature and humidity below ground, help to create an ideal environment for maturing wine. In certain cases, the original builders kept digging, stacking multiple layers of cellars, one above the other. The largest of these cellars, called Uyezirka, goes 7 stories deep. Fermented bread soda. How to try it. Ochakovsky is a Russian commercial brand of kvass, equivalent of Kali. Available in Eastern European grocery stores and online. In Estonia, you'll find homebrewed Kali everywhere. Dense, sweet Estonian black rye. Thank you, Zorg. So sacred that old folklore demands that a loaf fallen to the ground should be picked up immediately and kissed before returned to its proper place. It was a mainstay on every Estonian table. Locals have also found a way to drink their favorite carbohydrate, parlaying the rye into a fizzy drink that's become the country's most popular soda. The rye bread, already made from a fermented batter, is fermented again to make kali. Rye slices are boiled until soft, then mixed with yeast, sugar, and maltose. After the mixture is fermented for a day, it's sieved through a cheesecloth, sweetened with additions, lemons and raisins, and it's ready to drink. The slightly alcoholic drink tastes like a cross between dark beer and kombucha. Malted, sour, effervescent. It's an easy drinking refreshment that's far more nutritious than the average cola. Rye bread provides vitamin B and magnesium, and the lactic acid from the fermentation can aid digestion. Street vendors once pushed carts around Tully's cobbled streets, selling kali by the glass. But today, you can find bottled versions of what many call Estonian Coca-Cola on supermarket shelves. But Estonians swear the supermarket brands are just not the same as traditional kali, and they'd be correct. Many commercial brands of kali are not fermented, which makes the taste more soda than soda beer. Other fortified sodas. In the Caribbean is the Mobby Fizz, which is made with tree bark, anise, and vanilla. In Vietnam, there's Tribeca, made with white fungus, switchlet, and bird's nests. In Switzerland, there's Rivella, made of milk whey and minerals. In South Korea, in Tamla Village Company, there's soda made with Jeju onions. In the USA, is Dr. Brown's Celery, made with celery seed. In the summer of 1959, many Russians got their first taste of Pepsi. Accustomed to carbonated mineral water and bread-based sodas, many Russians' first impression of Pepsi was that it smelled like shoe wax and tasted too sweet. But the American brand was determined to enter the untapped market, even if the communist government wouldn't compensate them in the traditional manner. It all began with a rare exchange of culture at the American National Exposition in Moscow, which was meant to showcase Americana. Their exhibit sponsored by U.S. brands. Pepsi executive Donald M. Kendall went to Moscow with the mission of getting Pepsi in the hands of Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev. The night before the exhibition, Kendall approached the Vice President Richard Nixon at the American Embassy, and he agreed to lead Khrushchev to the Pepsi booth. The next day, Nixon delivered as promised, and a photographer snapped a picture of the two world leaders sipping cups of Pepsi. For Kendall, who catapulted up the ranks of Pepsi, eventually becoming CEO. The USSR was the land of opportunity. In 1974, he negotiated a cola monopoly and locked out Coca-Cola until 1985. Cola syrup began flowing through the Soviet Union, becoming what the New York Times named the first capitalistic product available in the USSR. But it wasn't business as usual. Soviet rubles were worthless internationally and prohibited from being taken abroad, so the USSR and Pepsi had to barter. Cola was traded for Stolichnaya vodka, which Pepsi sold in the US. But when an American boycott banned Stolichnaya, they had to trade for something else. In the spring of 1989, Pepsi became the middleman. 17 used submarines, a frigate, cruiser, and destroyer, which a Norwegian company bought for scrap. In return, Pepsi was allowed to double the number of soda plants in the USSR. In 1990, a new $3 billion deal was signed. Pepsi agreed to sell Soviet-built ships abroad in order to finance their expanding Russian enterprises, which now included another American institution, Pizza Hut. But a year later, the Soviet Union fell, taking with it Pepsi's monopoly in business deals. Suddenly, the long balancing act turned into a scramble to protect their assets in a free-for-all made more complex by redrawn borders, inflation, and privatization. The new Pizza Huts were hobbled, and mozzarella was sourced from Lithuania. Plastic soda bottles were located in Belarus, and Pepsi's new ship business was stranded in now independent Ukraine. Kendall, who had since retired, lamented that the Soviet Union had essentially gone out of business. Over several months, Pepsi pieced parts of the deal back together as Coca-Cola aggressively entered the former Soviet Union. Despite a huge marketing push from Pepsi, they launched a giant replica PepsiCon to the Mir space station and erected 2 billboards over Pushkin Square. Coke beat out Pepsi as Russia's most popular cola in 2013, ushering in a new era where soft drinks, vodka, and destroyers had to be bought with legal currency. Yeah. Interesting, I think. Whoa. An ancient monastery's winemaking room. So there's a photograph with some holes dug out in the ground. They're clean-looking cylinders lined with bricks. Ancient Georgian wine vessels. How to try it. Visit the cellar and taste the wine at the Alverdi Monastery in eastern Georgia, where they've been following tradition for more than 1,000 years. In 2017, archaeological excavations in southern Georgia unearthed terracotta jars from the 6th century BCE, which meant Georgians have been making wine for 8,000 years, predating even the Greeks and Romans. Called fervi, the oversized lemon-shaped jars are used for fermentation, storage, and belong exclusively to the Georgian winemaking tradition. There's a diagram showing an artist's depiction of one of the jars from a profile view, and it has a pointed bottom. Producing vervi, which is always made by hand, requires considerable craftsmanship. A slight imbalance of weight or thickness can make vervi crack or wobble. Selecting the right clay, which imparts essential minerals to the wine, is also critical. There are only a small number of remaining craftsmen who likely learn the trade from their parents. A It can take months to make a single ververy, but once it's done, it can last for centuries. To make traditional Georgian wine, pressed grapes, along with their skins, stalks, and pips, are loaded into a beeswax-coated ververy. It is buried beneath the ground. The ververy is sealed shut, and the mixture is left to ferment for about half a year. The distinctive shape of the ververy allows the grape seeds and skins to sink to the bottom, while the juice stays on top to mature. A winemaker would say using the ververy makes their wine naturally stable, eliminating the need for chemical preservatives. Between vintages, ververies are rigorously cleaned with lime, water, and a special brush made from cherry bark, then relined with beeswax. Cleaning a ververy can be almost as taxing as making one, especially when it's already set in the ground. Although ververy vary greatly in size, the largest can hold approximately 2,600 gallons, that is, 10,000 liters, and they're big enough for a person to roam around inside. The eloquent, existential toastmaster. How to try it. Supras are generally invite-only affairs. Tamar, Georgia. A Georgian feast called the supra, and presiding over every supra is a tamara, or toastmaster, who leads the dinners on a long and winding existential journey throughout the meal. A few times an hour, the tamara will rise and speak to the guests, who may consist of a casual gathering of friends or an elaborate wedding celebration. He doesn't shy away from the difficult topics. A good master will address matters of the mind and soul, themes of life, death, God, humanity, and will speak of them with honed finesse. There will be metaphors, historical references, all bound by a rhythm that's nearly poetic. He will raise his glass to his fellow diners and sit until it's time to toast again. Hospitality is deeply rooted in Georgian culture, and to be a tamara is a significant honor, typically bestowed upon the eldest and most well-spoken at the table. If a tamara is especially skilled, they'll be asked to officiate the ceremonies and meals of those beyond the circle, often becoming locally famous, respected for stature and ideas. Tamaras are almost never paid and provide a service to the community, and the community venerates them with deep gratitude. The younger generation has openly embraced the tradition, and though they may conduct the supers a little differently, less food, more women as tamaras, I still prize the discourse around the big questions of existence and the fellowship that happens around a table. Campfire bacon fat. How to try it. A slab of smoked fatback from your butcher, cut into chunks and skewered, will work perfectly. Rye bread is the preferred accompaniment. Salt, Salona, Hungary. Imagine a block of pure pork fat. No muscle, no skin. Lightly smoked and cut into cubes. Unslid onto a wooden skewer, preferably fresh cut from a fruit tree, and melted over an open fire. This becomes the beloved Hungarian campfire treat, known as salt sazon. As the cube sizzles and begins to drip salty liquid pork, a thick slice of bread catches the fat and soaks up the flavor. After a few cycles of plunging the skewer into the flames and dangling it over bread, a slice should be entirely saturated in fat and ready to be decorated with bits of red onion, tomato, cucumber, or, in classic Hungarian style, paprika. Spit roasted cake. Sakotis, Lithuania. Yeah, that actually sounds pretty good, right? I would try it. I feel like it would especially work because the onion, tomato, and cucumber would help cut the fat. So I think it should end up pretty well balanced. You can try sakotis all over Lithuania. In Vilnius, Lithuania's capital, you'll find towers and windows of bakeries, slices served in cafes, packaged trees on supermarket shelves. Oh, I don't know why that reminded me of it, but sorry about that. I just brushed my mic against my mic stand. My mouse against my mic stand. That wasn't too startling. I saw this one in Radar's chat, and I thought, wow, that's great. I need to get that one. So I added it. Yeah, Kisahome. But Kisahome featuring Astolfo and Felix. Pog. I never would have added this if I didn't see it on Radar's channel. Like, if you search for Kisahome on Better Twitch TV, it's actually pretty far down there. Most cakes are created in about the same way. You mix a batter, pour it into a pan, and bake it in an oven. Thank you so much for the support, Wander. Very much appreciated. Really? I mean, here it should be the one that's recommended. But if you search on Better Twitch TV's emote search for Kisahome, it's like halfway down the page. But here, because of the emotes that we have, it should come up. I think. I hope you're doing very well, Wander. Most cakes are created in about the same way. You mix a batter, pour it into a pan, bake it in an oven. Spit cakes, in dramatic contrast, are cooked by flinging batter onto a rotating dowel over an open flame. variations of spit cakes are popular across Europe. In Hungary, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic, spit cakes tend to be tubular. In Germany, Baumkuchen looks like donuts stacked on top of each other. Oh yeah, I got the Kiss of Weeb, so that we have a little variety. I can't tell if that one's Girls Love, but my intention was to have an option for both Girls Love and Boys Love. Anyways. Apart from the imminent heat wave, oh good luck. One of the most dramatic spit cakes, though, is the Lithuanian version, sakotis. In the final stages of the cooking process, bakers increase the speed at which the spit rotates, causing spikes to form as batter is flung toward the fire. The result is a cake that resembles a Christmas tree. Sakotis, after all, means branchy tree. They're tasty. Ooh. Making sakotis can easily take 5 hours. Bakers ladle batter along the spit in regular stages, and the skill comes from knowing just how much batter to add and just how long to wait, so that all the batter stays on the cake. By piling more batter in the middle, and then cutting the final product in two, bakers can achieve a tree-like appearance. For fancy affairs like weddings, they may decorate enormous sakotis that stand taller than some guests, sugary flowers, nuts, and drizzles of chocolate. The cake itself is spongy and moist, yet firm with a slight chew. It smells pleasantly of vanilla, but tastes of a classic eggy yellow cake. In 2015, to inaugurate a tree cake museum, the company Ornamental organized the baking of a record-holding 12-foot-long, that is 3.7 meters, spit cake. Dang, even though I had a midnight snack, reading this book makes me hungry. Ornamental smoked cheese. Oshpek, Poland. How to try it. Counterfeit oshpek is a problem in Poland, with many forgers swapping in cow's milk and using dyes to mimic the smoked color. Ensure it's the real deal by going straight to the source. Ujankoka, a Highland guest house. It's operated by cheese-making shepherds. Fewer than 150 people are qualified to produce the Polish Highland cheese, Oshipek. I care for the sheep that graze in the Tatra mountain range of southern Poland and use their milk to create beautiful spindles of golden smoked cheese. A Balkan tribe called Vlachs introduced shepherding and cheese-making to the mountains meadows nearly 1,000 years ago. and modern bakers continue to operate in ancient fashion. They work in small huts, using only wooden tools, often retaining their traditional dialect and dress. Fresh batches of cheese are cast in sycamore molds, which are carved with intricate decorations. Historically, the molds depicted imagery related to the cheese's function, often as currency or gifts. But today, the designs are purely ornamental. Molds can be ovals, barrels, hearts, or animals, but only the spindle-shaped variety has earned protected status from the European Union, and those spindles must weigh between 600 and 800 grams and measure between 17 and 23 centimeters. They're produced between April and October during the sheep's grazing season. And the cheese has taken on its form. Because soak it in salt water, hang it from a beam, and smoke it using pine, spruce wood. This gives the exterior a sleek golden hue, while preserving the creamy white interior. The finished product has the texture of firm mozzarella, but the flavor is briny, smoky, and sharp, with notes of toasted chestnut. Grilled until soft and stretchy and topped with fruit preserves, sheepeg might taste even better than it looks. Transylvania is home to slow-paced pastoral lifestyle villages that have been slow to modernize, especially in the 12th century Saxon villages. Many people don't have cell phones and still prefer horse-drawn carriages to cars. Locals often live off their land and their animals, producing small batches of old-world artisanal food. The farm-to-table lifestyle aims that things taste better. A little travels beyond the region's borders. So, to taste their land, you'll have to go. Magyar of Topolovany is a fruit spread made from 4 or more Armenian plum varieties, and cooked for 10 hours until it becomes a sticky, dark brown paste. Plums here are so sweet that the recipe never uses sugar. Enima de Bon, that is, heart of an ox. Tomatoes are the favored variety of the Saxons, intensely sweet, pulpy, and thin-skinned. Are disappearing in most of Romania, but still grow in their native Transylvania, albeit in much smaller quantities. Zinka, or ham, is a point of pride in Transylvania, where pigs are raised and processed without machinery, just as they were centuries ago, and have a naturally complex and meaty flavor, lost in commercial operations. Pranza de Borduf is a soft sheep's milk, a cheese product from the slopes of the Puchegi Mountains, aged in the bark of a fir tree, which produces a uniquely spicy and verdant taste. And Kurzoskalix, or chimney cake, is made by wrapping dough around a wooden spit. It rotates over hot cinders. As it barbecues, the dough turns into a chewy, peelable cake, while a coating of sugar becomes a sticky caramel coating. keep booping my desk. It's quite a title. Magical Cheese Ripening Cave. How to try it. Due to the very limited production of the cave, all cheese is difficult to find outside of Transylvania. According to Transylvanian legend, the commune of Togo was once controlled by a cruel and wealthy count. The people were starving, and, to feed themselves, were forced to steal the count's cheese, which they hid in the town cave. When they came to retrieve the contraband cheese, they discovered it had changed color from a reddish yellow from white to reddish yellow, and it acquired a funky smell. To their surprise, the transformed cheese was delicious. When the count discovered what they'd done, he took the cheese and the cave for himself. Although the story is legend, the cave is very real and remains the only place in the world that can produce this hyper-regional soft cow's milk cheese called a Nassau, after the small village where the cave is located. It is a smear-ripened cheese, which means bacteria or fungi grow on the rind. The cave in Nassau contains naturally occurring Brevibacterium linens, a bacteria present on the human skin that causes foot odor, which, in tandem with a stable temperature and humidity, gives the cheese a deep and earthy flavor impossible to recreate elsewhere. Since the 19th century, when a Romanian architect and his son began producing the cave cheese, Nassau has been steadily gaining a devout following, even winning a gold medal at the Paris World Cup. Exposition. A commercial operation began in 1954, which tried to expand the facility beyond the cave. But the cheese suffered, the price increased, consumption waned, so the cave was closed in 2013. After enormous public outcry, the cave reopened less than a year later. Today, the cheese of Nassau lives on, feeding off that dank, delicious foot bacteria that makes it uniquely Transylvanian. Blood candy nutritional supplement. How to try it. Togan is widely available in Russia, typically at the pharmacy and in Russian grocery stores worldwide. Togan has all the hallmarks of candy: the dark appearance of chocolate, a sticky chewiness of caramel, and plenty of sweetness. These features do an impressive job of masking all the cow's blood, which is the main ingredient of the Soviet-era treat. The packaging, which features smiling cartoon children and animals, also does wonders for marketing the bloody contents. In fact, many young Russians grew up eating the treat without realizing what it contained. Sold at pharmacies and drugstores, Togan was dispensed more like medicine than candy. Adults were prescribed daily doses of about 50 grams. Children under the age of 13 needed an adult's consent, and pregnant women and breastfeeding mothers required a consultation before eating it. These days, fresh cow's blood is often swapped out for powdered stuff, but it remains the leading candy bar for anemia, malnutrition, and fatigue. Pog. high-tech way to feed cosmonauts. How to try it. The Memorial Museum of Cosmonauts is open 7 days a week and costs 250 rubles, or about $4. The Mir station was the world's first experiment with long-term space habitation, orbiting Earth from 1986 to 2001, with the capacity to support 3 crew members, among them cosmonaut Valery Polyakov, who still holds the record for longest continuing space sojourn at 437 days. To feed these space workers on the compact microgravity station, Russians designed a high-tech table for communal dining. Located at the station's core module, a multicolored space table had slots where cosmonauts could heat up tins and tubes of foodstuffs such as liver stroganoff and chicken and white sauce. Other cans, such as caviar and cheese, are eaten at space temperature. About 65% of each meal was composed of freeze-dried food, which could be reconstituted from a spigot in the table that dispensed hot and cold water. A built-in vacuum sucked up any stray crumbs, but the meals were designed with easy cleanup in mind. Crumbly things were pre-broken into bite-sized pieces, and flaky items were coated with an edible film that kept everything together. According to American astronaut Andy Thomas, space food in general was surprisingly delicious, especially the soups and fruit dishes. Hey King, good to see you. And the table in itself could be folded against the wall to create room when not in use, and that rarely happened because the cosmonauts found they could simply float over it. The Mir station was in service for 15 years, 3 times longer than expected, and it had the battle scars to prove it. There were mold breakouts, a fire, and a collision with a cargo spacecraft. After being decommissioned, the body of the space station was mostly broken up, but the table was brought back to Earth and currently resides at the Memorial Museum of Cosmonautics in Moscow. May you rest well, Hypno. Thank you for stopping by. Peace be with you, and may you be greatly blessed with loving kindness. Actually, I'm thinking of ending. It's been pretty short. Well, we'll see. Let's see if I have somebody to read. Oh, Pong? I can read The Goaded of Venus. They're very Pong. May you rest well, Phoebe. Peace be with you, and may you be greatly blessed with loving kindness. Thank you, Zork. Yeah, I didn't really have anything planned this time, but I guess I just wanted to try out my new setup. Hope it's comfy. Yeah, let's end. And hopefully this time I will not end right as they themselves also stop. Don't be like stream elements. Don't use this separated message unless you have a sub. Everyone is not inferior. Feel free to use it if you have no sub. Yeah. So, to everyone who made it, whether you are here on the stream or maybe watching a VOD, thank you so much. Peace be with you, and may you be greatly blessed.